What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Welcome back to Top Bins, the show bringing you all the action from the World Cup, not England and Italy. I'm your host, Matt, joined by my co-host, Dom. Dom, how are you?
Good, man. Good. Feeling good. Life's good. World Cup is good. What more can I ask for?
The World Cup has been good. 28 goals scored in the round of 16, which is the highest ever amount in a round of 16 at the World Cup. Can't say that there hasn't been some entertainment on deck. We've had the drama of some penalties. Only one game without goals. That was Morocco and Spain. Maybe a little bit boring, but the penalties provided plenty of drama. I don't even know where to start with this round of 16. Let's start with really the only upset out of the round of 16, to be honest. Morocco moving past Spain on penalties, 3-0. Spain unable to convert a single one, despite the fact that Luis Enrique said that his players were practicing 1,000 penalties in preparation for the World Cup. They obviously lost the Euros to penalties. They now have overtaken England as the team to lose the most matches by penalties in major international tournaments. And I think it's easy for us to forget too, especially because for you and I, we especially came of age in the era of those great national teams from Spain, winning in 2008 at the Euros, 2010 World Cup, and then the 2012 Euros. That's just a significant outlier in the history of Spain, internationally. Like, they've just never been a team that has that type of success. This is actually, historically, more the record for Spain here.
Yeah. Credit Morocco, though, that only having 23% possession, and they kind of just sat back, accepted pressure, and got down the other end. They only had 6 shots, 2 on target, but you never know what can happen. They got to penalties, and they ended up winning. What a Panenka by Hakimi, and all the stories are running now about how he could have chose to play for Spain, but they were kind of passed on him. So, he's playing for Morocco, and look what's happening. Passed them in the round of 16.
Yeah, Hakimi was a player too that I think we've highlighted on the show, just in the fact that he's one of the better fullbacks in the world, and we've seen him have good performances at this World Cup. I haven't had him that iconic moment just yet. That there it is, there it is. Mm-hmm. The cheeky chip down the middle to win it is certainly going to do it. This Morocco team are good. I think the worry is now they picked up some injuries. This feels like maybe a game. This maybe feels like a match too far now. Where it's like they picked up some injuries, and it's going to be a struggle for them to move forward, especially against a Portugal team, which we just saw really put the sword to Switzerland. But regardless, they're the 4th African team to make it to the stage. They could be the first African team to make it to the semifinals, and that pathway is certainly there for them. I think what's been impressive too is defensively. They've only conceded 1 goal, and it was off an own goal so far this tournament. So they've been impressive in a lot of ways, and I think they've just been a very well balanced team, which is interesting to watch. I think every game involved with them has not been maybe the most exciting game, but that's also a hallmark of a team that performs well at international tournaments. It's not always going to be exciting. It's not always going to have a ton of flair and excitement and intrigue. But if you can just get the results and move forward, that's ultimately what matters.
Yeah, and to highlight who they play in the next round, Portugal, big 6-1 win over Switzerland. Right, Gonçalo Ramos is the star boy of this one. Starts over Cristiano Ronaldo. A lot of bench players on the score sheet, center back on the score sheet, and Portugal, looking very strong and very deep, right? What do you think that they play better when Cristiano Ronaldo starts on the bench?
Yes. Yes. Portugal are an interesting team too, because I can't remember in what context we talked about them. But when we were doing the preview, I think we talked about Portugal. It's like feels like no one's talked about them and just the massive amount of talent that they have, and that's just sort of. I don't know. Even now, I know that they just beat Switzerland. I think people now have maybe talked a little bit more, but even after the group stage, it felt like I don't know. I think they were one of the teams that I felt really good about coming out of the group stage. Like I saw just good performances out of them, and I thought, damn, and you look at the pathway too. Like again, I don't want to diminish Morocco, but I think if we're also being very realistic, if teams were doing, if this was like we do this all the time with like the Champions League, right? Where it's like, that team advanced, but like let's be real.
Yeah.
Every other nation would want to be playing Morocco. And that is no disservice, no discredit to Morocco. They've played well at this tournament, and they've earned their spot here. That it's by no fluke that they are here. But I think most teams would choose to be playing Morocco.
Yeah. Portugal did this against a very established Switzerland team. It's not, again, like you said, not to discredit Morocco, but I really do think that Switzerland is a better national team than Morocco, and look what Portugal just did.
Switzerland, I'll say though, just rolled over like you don't see very often.
They get that game against Serbia, and they're good afterwards.
Honestly, it felt like the emotional charge of that game was just like it was night and day. Just two completely different teams, and Portugal were just at it from the jump. And I mean, when you start with the goal that Ramos had too, which is just like, what do you even do to save a shot like that? It's just disgusting. Your boy Rafael comes on and scores a fantastic goal. Portugal, I mean they're humming right now, and they will be the team. I think that's been the story for me for this round of 16 is really the favorites.
Yeah,
looking kind of just unbothered. Brazil dispatched South Korea easily. I mean, they're doing pigeon dances with the manager on the sideline. That's just got to be the most disheartening thing I think you could experience as a player.
A lot of controversy from the dancing again.
Yeah, Christ. France and England, I felt like some like moments of intrigue and maybe a little bit of unbalance, but ultimately comfortable wins. It really turned into like a just sort of a casual affair by the end of it. And those are I think my three favorite teams. And then, like Argentina, it was a little uncomfortable against Australia. But that's just been Argentina at this World Cup so far has not been, wow, they've been so impressive. But they're doing like enough to get by, which again, is all that it doesn't matter if you've had like Spain, right? They started this tournament, probably the best looking team through match day 1. But you're bounced in the first knockout round. It's all about just getting it and advancing to a place where you can be. I thought the Netherlands looked really good against the United States as well. So I really felt like the teams that were favored really performed well. And it really felt like this was just again a round of 16 that gave us a lot of the big favorites just kind of cruising. It's not often that you get to see like your bench guys make it into a round of 16 game because it's so comfortable in the last 10-15 minutes.
The scary thing about Portugal is they have so many high profile players that a guy like Bernardo Silva can kind of just like pull the strings very quietly, like very like under the radar type deal, just like kind of he does at City. There's all these higher profile players that take the spotlight, and then you got Bernardo Silva just kind of like doing everything else. And that's something so scary about Portugal. Like you said about France looked unbothered. Mbappe's goals were pure beauty. And Giroud setting a record for France national soccer, becoming the all-time leading goal scorer, passing Thierry Henry for that record. So shout out to him, my striker. The only, I was sad to see Japan go. On paper, I think most people had Croatia moving on, but for a team that's really given every single team they've faced like one hell of a game and really surprised a lot of people. Japan's got some ballers, a lot of quality players playing for good teams and good leagues, and based off of their performances in this World Cup, you may see a couple Japanese players move to some big clubs.
I did think Japan struggled the same way Spain did with their penalties. Just some really. I think it's also whenever your first taker misses, that is always, I think, just such a hard thing to recover from.
Morale is low in the camp.
Honestly, because I just it's tough. And I believe both teams actually shot first, and statistically, the team that shoots second already wins more the majority of penalty shootouts. So already you're kind of at a disadvantage by shooting first, and then to just put yourself immediately one behind is tough. The Spain penalties, not to just come back to it again, but it's just those are some of the worst penalties I think I've ever seen at this level, and just the fact that this team, again, that's how they get bounced from the Euros, and you'd think that there'd be some like redemption arc or something, or like some improvement. They just did not look confident taking any of them, and they're good saves by the keeper too, but I did not think that they were well hit at all. And in Japan, it was a little disappointing that they similarly. I was not impressed with the way they took their penalties. So,
I do have another question. So, in the Netherlands-U.S. game, right? Van Gaal kind of switched from zone defending to a midfield man mark, which really just stifled the U.S. for a long time, that kind of tactical change. The Netherlands looking well managed, kind of doing their job. Moving into the next round for them, they do look like a quality team, kind of flying, not under the radar, but, as one that can challenge the favorites. But as, another fellow U.S. men's national team supporter, where do they go from here?
For the U.S.?
Yeah,
I think the focus is very much on 2026 now, and I felt like ultimately for me, the success for this World Cup was going to be getting out of the group, and they did. Anything beyond that for me personally was going to be like bonus. I did think like Netherlands were a team that they could beat, and I felt like they had chances within the game. Maybe Pulisic's goal or a shot that probably should have been a goal like 3 minutes into the game. If that goes in, who knows how that changes like the rest of the game. But it felt like there's a very clear gap in talent in that game and coaching. And I think you're right to point out too, especially the man marking in the midfield really took Tyler Adams out of the game. Yunus Musa was not able to turn effectively, right, and like find those spaces, and that's when you're up against Louis van Gaal, one of the best managers, of this era. Mm-hmm. That's just the reality, up against Greg Berhalter, which, I'm not even saying that necessarily to say that Greg Berhalter's like this terrible manager, right? But there's a gap there. There just is. Yeah. There's a massive gap in quality and I think of style of play too. And the Netherlands, what they've done so well at this World Cup and under Van Gaal is they are like the great equalizer. Like they're good at bringing teams down a level from where they are. Like they're really good at like opening up the floor and swallowing people up. So I'm curious to see, because Argentina have not blown me away at this tournament. And I think Netherlands are the type of team that can frustrate them and can limit it. Now, if there's a team that's going to have to rely on individual ability to get them through, it's Argentina. That's just, that's what they've done to get here to this stage at this World Cup. They've relied, I would say, a little bit more on individual moments than most other teams. But that's going to be an interesting game. I think there's a lot at stake for both teams too, I think, honestly.
Yeah. I agree with what you said about, the U.S. needing, anything past the group stage, getting out of there. Everything else is, just adding to the win. They did it. It's nice to know that our starters, who are all pretty young and will most likely be on the team in 2026, they all got this type of experience, right? Handling a fairly tough group for them pretty well, getting the win when they needed to get the win to get out of the group. So moving forward, making sure that they work on their depth. It seems like a lot of positions they have somebody of quality there. Now make sure that they're deep enough to do kind of like, in best case scenario, something like Portugal does, with how deep their squad is, like how France is with how deep their squad is. But they really need to invest some time into making sure that they get a proper striker. I think that's the biggest issue for the U.S. this World Cup was, you have Josh Sargent, but he's not obviously the best. And I don't think that any of the other guys really gave consistent enough performances. Can Berhalter be criticized for not including Gio Reyna more? Understood. I know Gio was kind of dealing with coming off some injuries, so I understand the hesitation. Making sure they just develop a proper number 9 or, looking in a new direction for the team. I was reading something online where somebody said that they believe like there should always be a new coach for the national team when a World Cup comes around. You want to let the young guys get like a new vision. If it doesn't work out, if there's no type of consistency, why not? I don't agree with it 100%, but I see how it could make sense because you have a 4-year gap, which allows the manager 4 years to set up, and develop their system so that when the World Cup does come around, the boys are pretty much, accustomed to it. But I don't know what you think about that.
I don't subscribe to that personally, and I think even if you look at like France at this tournament, right, and you think like Deschamps, there was a lot of, I think, people who didn't want him at the 2018 World Cup, which he wins, and didn't have the best Euros, but were like, I don't know, 10 minutes and a bunch of madness away from advancing and maybe again being in the finals of a year. Like, and you look at France right now and you think they're one of the 2 favorites for this tournament right now.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Jogi Löw, right, for Germany, had multiple shots with Germany and ends up getting rewarded for it, and winning in 2014. Like, I don't know. It's not easy to say when it's time to pull the plug or not, and when to give guys more time or not. But I do think there's a benefit to sticking with who you believe is the guy. Maybe Greg Berhalter isn't that for the U.S. I think you can have that conversation, but I don't think that's like a fair, like, one-size-fits-all statement where it's like, after 4 years, that's it. Because I also think, like, stability is important. I do think that's an important thing. I think every manager should be getting, the 2 major tournaments, and then you see where you're at there. Like, what are your performance levels? Like, what is the future looking like too? For certain nations, it's going to be a different pathway. For the U.S., it's about building, and maybe for the U.S., it makes more sense just to switch managers now because you're really focused on building up to towards 2026. Whereas a team that has players in their prime now and expect to be the prime for, say, the next Euros,
like a Spain
or the next Copa America, maybe you stick with your manager, and if you feel like that, if you feel like the philosophy that they're bringing fits. And again, international tournaments, it's 90 minutes, and that's it. Like that's there you go. Like there's your legacy now. It's just whatever happens in 90 minutes. That's it. I mean, imagine if you judged that off of like clubs off of how they perform in domestic tournaments, right? In domestic cups. We see all the time big teams go down in these early stages of the tournament, and that's just, it can happen. 90 minutes is all it takes to pull off an upset like this. So there's just so much, I think, more variables than people want to admit with this stuff and want to make it seem really simple, and it just isn't. It just isn't.
Because I agree with what you say, like at a club level. I'm a fan of a club that dealt with that, right? Every other year, there was a coaching carousel going on. And I agree with having stability. I think the only reason I don't want to say completely disagree with it is because I think that having that 4-year span is the kind of thing. You're hiring this person to get you to a World Cup and then be competitive enough in the World Cup to move on. And I think that if you achieve your goal, you have a chance to keep your job, right? And at this point, the U.S.'s goal was to get out of the group stage. Berhalter achieved the goal. So if they decide to stick with him, I see what they want to do, right? They want to have stability and they want to have some type of system so that they can develop for 2026. Again, I agree with you as well, though, that the U.S. kind of is at that point where it kind of maybe does make sense to switch a coach and build towards something that they can see themselves becoming highly competitive in. So I don't know. It's weird. I was just wondering what you thought about it because I read that and I was interested, and it made me think for a second, does it make sense for teams to keep a coach if they fail, per se? Like if France or for example, Brazil, they're a favorite to win the World Cup. If they don't win the World Cup, do they look for somebody else that can get them to do it? They have the quality of players already. They don't need to develop that. It's all about, can we get the right coach that will run the team correctly to get there? And I was just wondering if it applied to more than just the U.S.
Yeah, I just think, again, I think people want the immediate switch and change, and you know, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work this way. I mean, Del Bosque too, right? Like, gets 3 major tournaments with Spain and wins them all, and then goes to 2014 and it doesn't work out. But I think also you look at the players at that stage, and there was just sort of a need player wise for maybe a little bit of transition too.
Yeah.
I just think I don't know.
So then do you think like a new manager should come in when it seems like a new era of players are starting to develop? Like when you're old, like for example, Belgium, right? It seems like their golden era has come to an end. Eden Hazard recently just announced he's retiring from international football. And Martinez's job looks like it's on the line, right? It seems like that's a team that's at the point where it needs to change. They need a complete rebuild of everything and see what happens.
Right. I'm thinking of Joachim Low, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he takes over in 2006 for Germany. And that German team was mostly a young team with some older stars, but largely speaking, it's a lot of young stars that became the nucleus of the 2014 team.
Mm-hmm.
And he was given that time. And, in the last few tournaments he had with the team, it didn't turn out as well, but they showed faith and it was rewarded. And you could say through so many of those tournaments too, Germany were really unlucky. They were unlucky in 2010 and they're unlucky in 2012 at the Euros. And then they finally make it to 2014 and they have a great tournament and they win. I don't know. I just think it's tricky. And I think it's case by case. And again, that's maybe the less fun answer. It's the less hot takey, but I just think it's so hard to get these decisions right at the end of the day. It just is. Let's look at these quarterfinals though. I know we were talking a little bit Argentina, Netherlands. There's really not a bad game on here.
No, not at all.
For me, England versus France is the game. I felt like both these teams coming into the knockout stages were two teams that I felt like could really genuinely win this tournament. And it's just a shame that one of them is going to have to go home at this stage. That being said, I'm also excited because one of these teams is going to go home at this stage. We're going to get to see them play. This is worthy of a final. We're getting in the quarterfinals, which is always nice. But I think whoever loses this game will be walking away thinking that, if they're just on the different side of a draw here, they're actually probably more likely, getting to the semifinal or the final rather than going home in the quarters.
Nothing makes me happier than an international tournament to root against England. I enjoy it so much because their fans are so delusional. It's hilarious. Watching the build-up for this game happen online is just pure popcorn for me. The Michael Jackson Thriller meme. The gif of him just eating the popcorn in the movie theater. That's me when I'm looking at this stuff on Twitter. The England fans are saying some crazy things. I saw that an argument has gone kind of viral about who's the better left back. Is it Teo Hernandez or Luke Shaw? And a lot of England fans are saying Luke is clear of Teo. So I don't know if you want to comment on that, but
Teo Hernandez is a better player than Luke Shaw.
I'm not saying this because I wanted to hear those words come out of your mouth. I'm being genuinely honest about that.
If you're making a combined 11, it's no shot. Granted, I do think a combined 11 for England and France though is pretty fun, but it's still mostly dominated by French players, I would say.
Harry Maguire makes it
for England, yes. Unironically. It's actually hilarious.
He's one of those weird players, right? That for club is just terrible, but for country,
hilarious because him and Varane at the club level does not work. Him and Varane for England and France, so in the way they've played, probably works. I don't know. It's bizarre.
It's crazy. I love the Croatia-Brazil matchup. Sneaky Luka Modric has the chance to do Luka things and spur Croatia on to a magical run. Portugal, Morocco, we talked about a bit earlier in the show. Same with Argentina, Netherlands. Yeah, there's not really a game here that that I wouldn't want to watch. And now comes the time where, there's gaps in between games. They're at some more reasonable times for us here in the US to watch. I missed some of these games because they were playing during the school day. It was very hard for me to watch them. The most I would get to watch is maybe the afternoon game. I put it on my phone and kind of put it up in my car as I'm driving home. So it's not the safest thing, but
that's okay, because we install iPads in the cards now, and it's just like no big deal.
Hey, we heard you like to be dangerous and reckless, irresponsible while driving, so we put a TV in your dashboard.
I mean, honestly, I don't understand it. I'm totally on board with no texting and driving and all that, but like, why are we putting like LCD like 20-inch screens as like the dashboard now? I mean, it's just kind of crazy. Where are we at? What are we doing here?
What car is it? I don't know what the make is, but it's a SUV, and it has like the entire like wavy dashboard is a touchscreen. It's a smart screen. It's kind of crazy.
Don't you dare think about bringing out your phone. But you can watch YouTube off that thing. It's stupid. Watching Brazil against South Korea, I can't help but feel that Brazil are just like
they got that Joga Bonito feel.
They do. They have the charm. They have, I don't know, like the vibes radiating off the Brazil team are very strong, very positive, and they do have a path to the semifinals. Not dismissing Croatia because they can win this game, but again, if you're doing a draw of teams, Croatia and Morocco, I think are the two teams everyone would want to be playing up against.
Yeah. Tough break for Brazil, mainly for Arsenal fans because Gabi Jesus gets an injury. But the crazy thing about this Brazil team is they have 3 other guys that they can put up top as a striker and still be just as dangerous, if not better. Everything about this team just looks like they are just that much better than a team like Argentina when it comes to being the current favorite, to win this whole thing.
Yeah, Argentina worry me. And I just have not felt great about them at this tournament. Not like how I felt coming into it. And, I watch Brazil play and I think, damn, this team is just built a little different. And they're very deep, very good defensively too. Because if you can find a way to work out of your own third, good luck getting past Casemiro. Good luck getting past now that defensive back line, which has been very good. No, then you have to just get past Allison. It's easy. You could do it. You could figure it out. They have switched off in a few moments. I thought they did against South Korea late in the game, but I think also when you're 4-0 up, I think it's in some ways maybe a little natural to take your foot off the gas. Like it is hard to just continually play the same way at 4-0 you would at 0-0. It just is. I don't care even at the elite level. Like it's just that stuff happens. Croatia are crafty though. We've seen them. I think the biggest problem for Croatia is goal scoring. It's just not been a great talent of theirs at this World Cup so far. It's not been a great strength. They can control the game, sure, but I worry about them. If you're going to have to score, I think multiple goals to beat Brazil. Yeah, and I don't know that I see that from Croatia.
They don't have a guy like Mario Mandzukic up top that can kind of get in the heads of defense, like that Diego Costa type role, right? Which was so vital to their success in the 2018 World Cup. What I like about this bracket is that there's at least one player in each matchup that has something to prove when it comes to the legacy of their careers, right? Lionel Messi, the World Cup has evaded him for so long, and Argentina finally, have this group of players that can really make a push in these international tournaments. He got his first international trophy, right, winning the Copa America. So, he has that. Same thing with Neymar, another player for a country where the World Cup has not been present. They have not won a World Cup since the mid 2000s.
Brazil?
Yeah, Brazil.
2002.
2002, right? So, can Neymar be that guy? Who has always been on that pedestal right below Messi, Ronaldo, right? Obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo now on the bench though. tarnish this if Portugal do go on and win? No.
They won the Euros with him on the bench after an injury.
And-
There are
and-
three
and then-
teams that could win the World Cup for the first time,
Yes.
which
And
would
then
be
you-
spectacular.
You got a guy like Mbappe, who is the star boy now. He's the future, who could potentially, dethrone one of these guys who are playing in this tournament as the greatest of all time. He already has a World Cup.
And it would be the first back-to-back World Cup since the 70s,
The storylines are incredible. How this World Cup can kind of play out with each of these matchups leading up to the final. I mean, even a guy like Luka Modric, who seemed to be setting his storyline and his legacy last World Cup, get him to the finals. Can he do it again? One of the greatest midfielders of all time.
I gotta say, you're burying the lead on this.
Speech.
Harry Maguire lifting the World Cup trophy. I just want to say, lead up to the tournament in our preview, who was on our list of things to prove at this World Cup?
You did put him there.
It was one Mr. Harold Maguire.
Listen.
And who has been one of these standout performers for this England team? It has been future Sir Harold Maguire.
Wow, knighted. That's crazy.
If you win the World Cup, you get knighted, baby. That's the rules.
True. That's true.
That's the way it works.
I was going to mention England. They have this new generation of players that really have something to prove as a squad. Gareth Southgate has been criticized heavily with his player selection, with some of the players in the team, out of the team, and
you could say everything. You could save yourself time, and he's been criticized for everything.
Right, but they've got the it's. I think the thing that stands out about the team is not every single player is a product of the Premier League, right? We got, for God's sakes, one of their best players is a midfielder in Dortmund, right? Jude Bellingham is a special talent, and I think that a player like him really is the X factor for a team like England in a tournament like this. What he brings to that team as a box-to-box midfielder, good on the ball and also good kind of winning the ball back, just being a physical presence. He's got what it takes to help England make a run in this tournament. Not just Harry Maguire, Matt. No. Not just future Sir Harold Maguire. But doesn't it sound Sir Jude? Sir Jude Bellingham. It sounds like a knight's name, man.
I gotta tell you, this World Cup has not been good for me in a lot of ways. One of the reasons too is that Jude Bellingham has been linked to Liverpool for the last year and a half. I've been down so fucking bad for this guy, and I really wanted Erling Haaland, and I think I even tweeted once that I would do disgusting illegal things to get Erling Haaland on Liverpool.
I think I remember seeing that.
And I would do disgusting illegal things to get Jude Bellingham on Liverpool. And I just know it's not going to go our way. And just watching him tear up this World Cup at 19 years old, I'm like, it's going to fucking kill me to watch this dude ball out for another decade somewhere else.
Signed for Real Madrid.
It's going to really hurt my ass. It's really going to hurt me.
All the talk is that he's going to be Luka Modric's replacement.
And he probably is. And I'm probably going to hate it. I hate every second. God, he's been amazing. He's been amazing to watch. How about Jordan Henderson working his way back in the team, scoring a goal?
Yeah.
Shh. That's what I'm going to say. Kalma.
Yeah.
Easy on my name. Easy on my boy's name, please.
I think they took both of those celebrations out of FIFA because people complained they were too toxic. I love the shush.
I got to
both.
say, one thing I have enjoyed is the Liverpool contingent has attached himself to the hip to Jude Bellingham. I don't think there's a single picture of Jude Bellingham without Trent or Jordan Henderson right behind him or right next to him.
Hey, John Stones has been there as well.
Well, John Stones will get strolled the fuck out, I tell you that much. I'm telling you, but you know who was there with John Stones too? It was both Trent and Jordan. They doubled up.
Yeah, you're right.
They said, absolutely not. We're not letting anyone else get in a room alone with this man. No shot. No chance.
Hey, start the rumor mill, man.
The rumor mill's way out of control already.
Generate it.
It's they're already talking about how much he's going to be this summer, and Real Madrid is farther away than Liverpool. Whatever. It's Bellingham has been one of the standout young players of this tournament. Gonzalo Ramos now for Portugal, like you mentioned, scores a hat trick. That's going to be, he's only 21. You have to imagine another one of these, Portuguese products that's probably going to be moving out in the next year, and it's going to be going somewhere to prove himself. It's been, England have been an interesting story at this tournament because of the expectation that's on them, but also the history that they've had with disappointment really since 1966. This is, funnily enough, probably been their most successful period since then. In terms of they've gone to a semifinal of a World Cup, finals of Euros. They could feasibly make it to the World Cup finals again. It's going to take a lot of work. Like getting through France is just going to be a tough challenge. Dom, just give me like top of your head winners in each of these matchups. Who's going through? Who's advancing? Just your gut feeling.
Brazil beats Croatia. Portugal beats Morocco. France wins, and that Netherlands-Argentina match is real tough. That's the only one where I don't see a clear-cut winner. I'm going to stick with my prediction from the World Cup preview. I'm going to pick Argentina over the Netherlands. I want an all South American, semifinal.
An Argentina-Brazil semifinal would be pretty nuts.
That's a very high-charged game. That would be crazy, right? You have the two South American teams and the two European teams battle it out for a spot in the final. Europe versus South America. That's a pretty cool storyline. I want to see Ronaldo versus Messi in the World Cup final. I want to see it.
You're
Like
sick,
I want
man.
to. I want to see it.
Sick human.
I want to see it. But if Neymar is to get there instead of Messi, Neymar is going to make sure that his friend's legacy stands above Ronaldo's. So.
You're a sick individual. Truly sick person. I cannot imagine the toxicity of a Ronaldo Messi World Cup final. I'm like, there's a lot that's maybe pushing me away from Twitter these days. I think that would be the get on the boat and just sail into the seas moment for me, because there's just no way. That is a nuclear waste site of toxicity right there.
The memes, the meme picture of like the person like standing outside the window with the smile and
the
sickos.
Yeah.
That's me. If Argentina Portugal happens to be the final, I'm gonna stand up. Just stand outside your window as you're watching it. Just be like, yes, I love this.
I could not. I would not want to be a part of that discourse. I tell you that much. I'm looking forward to it. We're gonna have these games settled. And we're gonna have our semifinals.
Hey, don't think you're getting scot-free without the prediction. Let me.
You want my predictions?
Yours. Yeah, come on now.
Man, I'm gonna roll with Argentina as well in that game. I agree. I think that's probably the hardest one for me to pick, just because I haven't loved either of those teams a whole lot this tournament. They've been a little like spotty with their performances. I'm gonna go England over France. I don't love betting against Mbappe because I think he's been the best player at this tournament, and I think when it's very even, I think I tend to go with just like whoever has the most talented player, and France does have the most talented player, but there's just there is just something about this England team that I'm really liking and I think is really good, and I could maybe
Mbappe plays left wing. The Theo Mbappe link up is just so crazy.
Sure, but I think France have been defensively pretty vulnerable. Like, they were lucky to not be conceding earlier to Poland. I think they had a much worse, like England had a few moments against Senegal, which were not great, but ultimately they really settled and clamped down that match. It took France a lot longer to really like seize the control of that game and play well. And I actually think England's midfield matches up pretty well with France's midfield. Yes, Mbappe is always going to give you problems no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter. But England are also way more versatile than most other teams of this tournament. They can switch to that back three, which I wouldn't be totally shocked to see them do, because that's typically what they've done in some of the bigger games against the bigger teams and really like eliminate some of those threats. You're never going to eliminate Mbappe totally out of the game, but I just think, I don't know. I think England have more answers than a lot of other teams would for France.
Fair enough.
And I just think, again, I'll throw it on them. I really see Brazil getting past Croatia. Portugal versus Morocco. I don't want it to be a cop out and say like I want to see the team news and see like who's like actually out for this game for Morocco before I make this, but get a little Team of Destiny vibes off them too. Like it feels a little.
Buffon was in a video quoted saying, "Inshallah, if we get past the first knockout round."
If we get to the group stage, we'll go to the quarters. I didn't like they said we'll get to the quarters though. It's like, brother, say to the final. Like I don't like that he kind of made that deal with his God, and it is now like that's it. Just you making it to the quarters is enough. I think I'll go Portugal just because I think individual talent really might just win out in that game, and I think they've been very impressive. So.
When you don't have to put Rafael Leao in the game until the 85th minute every single game, it's kind of crazy. Like you just have that type of attacking talent that late into the game, just coming in fresh. Not a lot of teams can deal with that.
Very few. I will say this is, I think, maybe the highest that I can remember, and I hope it's hard not to do like recency bias and stuff, but I feel like, especially once we see these semifinals too, if it kind of goes the way we expect it, where it could be Argentina, Brazil, and say like England, Portugal, or France, Portugal, I think that might just be the best. Like right now, I think this is the best final 8 that we've had in quite a bit at the World Cup, and I just think we've had some like, and these are fun. It's fun when you have some of the dark horses and the underdogs make it deeper into the stages of these tournaments, but. For like pedigree and like overall talent and like depth and versatility and style, I think this is actually like just a great group. Like this is a really, really, really solid group of teams. Like I think already this round of 16 was really exciting and historic in some ways. I would not be shocked if we're like, this is setting up to be like a Final Four that we'll talk about for a very long time, like semifinals that we'll talk about for a very long time, and hopefully the final we talk about for a very long time. But that's what we got for this week. Dom, anything to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, I need to get a tan. Look, your boy's getting pale again, man.
Brother, it's December. I don't know what to tell you. That's just it.
I'm gonna have to. I'm getting my engagement photos done this weekend, so the save the dates will be coming out soon.
Get that Hollywood tan special. You gotta.
Yeah, we're getting our pictures. I gotta pay for the touch up package.
What about you go to what's that place? Cocoa Bay. Hit up Cocoa Bay.
We're gonna go get our engagement photos done at JCPenney.
Bro, fuck it.
Yo, remember the family JCPenney picture? Did your family do that?
We went to this like random small business place on like one of the downtowns around us. I gotta dox myself, but we went to this like random like downtown place whenever we did family pictures. It was like in the back of this like photo store, and the guy was like nice enough, but it was like, yeah, that was what we did.
All right, so I got a quick story for you before we go. So we used to always do ours when I lived in Texas. We did our Christmas picture at JCPenney, and normally it was just me, my brother, and my mom. My dad was normally working. It was a busy time of the year, so we went once. You've been to my mom's house, right? Do you remember the family picture of me, my mom, and my brother in the staircase, kind of in the middle part, the landing, like headed up towards my room?
Vaguely remember.
So that night, we were waiting for to be called up so we could take our pictures and stuff. My dumbass didn't use the bathroom before we left the house, and I forget how old I was. I was
shitting on yourself.
No, I didn't go that far. No. But I don't think I was older than 6-7 years old. I pissed my pants so bad. I had to walk through JCPenney with my wet pants so my mom could buy me a new pair. she was just like dragging me because we were about to be called in for pictures, so she's dragging me through the store, angry at me, bought me a new pair of pants, and we took that picture.
Motherfucker called the JC Pissy. That's unreal.
JC. Oh man, those JC Penney pictures, they're funny too. It's a whole
JC Penney does that free tailoring though. Did you at least get them fitted up?
I was 7 years old. I didn't get an inseam. You at that age, you wear pants that fit you because they fit. There's no getting it tailored.
Don't get swagged out. That's fine. That's why you piss your pants.
But yeah, I don't know how we got to that, but
me either. We were supposed to do family pictures one year, and I broke my wrist really badly that day. But when I broke it, it looked like it was dislocated because my bones were just like popping out of place. So neither of my parents were there because it was like a random game on a Saturday morning, and my brother was home and my sister was around like to be able to take pictures. And so like called my mom and was like, hey, and I like felt fine because I was playing a soccer game. So I had like all this adrenaline. So I didn't even feel pain. It's like, hey, like I'm fine. Like it's all good. I got to the hospital though. Like I think it dislocated my wrist. She's like, cool. Then like 20 minutes later, I'm like in the ambulance. I'm like, this fucking hurts. Like I'm in a lot of goddamn pain. And then
you finally came to and you were like, oh.
Yeah, then I get like emergency surgery and stuff. And we didn't get those pictures that day. We had to wait another week. But
no.
You piss your pants, I break my wrist. It's like
we got great luck, right? Maybe I hope that I just didn't jinx my.
I'm gonna be honest with you, brother. If you piss your pants in your engagement pictures, like I don't know.
Oh man, dude.
That's a different conversation.
Yeah, now as a 29-year-old man, like, yeah, I think
as a child, it can be excused. That stuff happens. It's an accident, but I mean, you're doing that as an adult.
Oh, my brother in Christ, I hope that doesn't happen.
Well, we'll be back next week with a fucking Dom Pistari update and talking about the rest of the World Cup. We'll see you next week.